What's up, world renowned family? Welcome to the 2-6. I am your host, Neil Oates Jr., and I have one of my favorite dudes on with us today, Devana Johnson. I call him DJ, so you guys can call him what you want as long as you have Mr. in front. That was old Sip the Shaka line. I don't know if you guys remember that. But good morning, sir. How are you today?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Neil. I appreciate it.
Now, if you guys, I don't know when you guys are watching this, but today is his birthday. So I have the honor and the
Yes.
privilege of saying, DJ, happy birthday, dude, man. And not just from me,
Thank
but from everyone who's watching this, because if they're watching this, I know that they know you, like you, or they will after this, and you're a special dude, man. So happy birthday to you.
thank you, man. I really appreciate it. I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
And now you say you're blessed. So you're blessed to be 21 finally. So he's finally turned 21, guys. I know he doesn't look it. No, but on a serious note, I guess I should give everyone the rules. You already know the rules, but guys, this is going to be an uncut, unedited interview. I got the questions over to DJ, and I would want to make sure that he was okay with the content. And he says, man, it's 100% real. And I said, whoa, hold on. So 26 minutes uninterrupted. We're going to have some fun. Probably, since DJ is a deep dude, we'll probably get a little deep. I'm going to try to keep it shallow because I have no depth at all. But 40th birthday, correct, sir?
Yes, yes. 40th birthday. I never really, honestly, being younger, I didn't think I would get to this point.
Mm.
It's just little things when you grow up in the area I grew up in, you see kids going to prison and, just getting caught up in drama and trouble or dying and stuff like that. So I know people see me and they think I come from this great background and everything, but it wasn't always like that. So to make it to 40, I'm very thankful. I'm very grateful.
I'm going to interrupt you right there because I told you, like, we just jumped right in. And most people can't even identify or understand or just even begin to conceptualize. So there was a time when you never considered being 40 years old, right?
Yeah, I mean, my mother passed away at 39, and for me at that time when I was like 19, I thought 39 was old. So to make it to 39, I was like, I hope I make it there. I kind of used that as a benchmark, and I made it to 39. And as the years have gone on, obviously, you meet people, you cross paths with people, and you live a life of happiness and bliss, I guess. You try
Okay.
to achieve that.
Now, you said when you were 19, you thought 39 was old, but I
Yeah,
asked you
man, I thought
before,
it was old.
but before we got started, you said, I asked you if you're over the hill, going up the hill, coming down the hill, and what is your feeling about, being 40 right now? How are you feeling?
I'm at a place where I think I've matured a lot more. Obviously, I'm still maturing. My perspective has changed on life, the people around me, family. So I think I'm just like kind of getting started. I feel like I went through my 20s, party, and didn't really consider the future in a sense. And in the 30s, you start kind of really getting more in tune with your responsibilities and priorities. But I think the 40s is like that start, so I would say I'm kind of going up the hill still. I feel like there's a lot more to achieve and do.
Now, with this being really a milestone for you, and you saying you've now reached something and doing it very well, if I may add, me knowing you and seeing you and just being a fan of yours and seeing how you're doing it. So you can't just celebrate 40 by going to Chili's, right? You can't just celebrate 40 by going to Chili's and having a molten chocolate cake. So I believe that you've got a big celebration in store, right? Do you want to share that with everyone, what you're
Yeah,
doing?
for me, I guess 40 is a big milestone, and I didn't want to celebrate it locally or like you do every year, just a birthday dinner with friends and stuff. And I still intend to do that, but I wanted to do something more for myself and kind of get out. My original plan was to go to the Philippines and then go to Hong Kong. I was trying to meet up with friends, but due to scheduling and conflict, it didn't work out, and I didn't want to go there by myself, to be honest. So me and my friends, we decided to go to Colombia, kind of celebrate. you know, we have a few other birthdays in the same month. So we said, hey, let's do it.
Good stuff, man. Now, you're big on friends and family. I see that in everything you do. Very rarely do I ever see you in a photo by yourself unless it's to capture your mugshot. Why is,
Yeah.
friends and family such a big part of who you are and where you are right now?
Well, you know, growing up, my household, I'm the oldest of three. And, you know, my mother being a single mother and, you know, working, trying to hold down a household, we really didn't have much family around, like other than, you know, my brothers and sisters and then my friends. And, you know, at home, family wasn't really, I guess, it wasn't really spoken to us. Like it really, we had to learn to be close to each other and everything. But I kind of look towards my friends and their families, and that's where I got the family feel from, you know. So I do gravitate to friends and you know, girlfriends who are big in the family and everything. As I've gotten older, you know, my father, I can remember my father kind of telling us, you know, family is always more important than friends, and I just kind of learned the importance of just being close to family, and that's what I intend to do for the, you know, I'm 40 now, but I intend to really make family my top priority, my next 40 years, I would say, you know.
The next
But
40.
I've
I
always
love
been
that.
big on, you know, the next 40.
So you've always been big on that. Now you're not originally from South Florida. You were born in New York and moved down south when you were
Yeah.
5, if I'm not mistaken. But now
Yep.
I also believe that Devana, you have an interesting, culture or genetic makeup, and that's Jamaican and Indian, right? Do you still have any Jamaican and Indian influences in your life right now? And if so, how is that shaping, or how has that shaped who you are, what you do, and sort of some of the things that you practice today?
Yeah. You know, as you mentioned, my family is Jamaican and Arawak Indian. My grandmother is still alive, and you know, still
Mm.
kicking strong. And that's where the Arawak Indian Jamaican side comes from her. And I would say a big influence. You know, when I need to kind of sit down and talk to someone and kind of get some perspective on things. You know, she kind of gives me a somewhat of a perspective from, you know, obviously from her age. She's 78 now, but she has a distinct look on life, and she has this easygoing calmness about it. And I think that's where I get it from, actually. And that's how I kind of approach life. You know, I take it as it is. I'm accountable for my actions, and I make the decisions I make. And, you know, as life problems come by, I always look at it as, you know, what are the solutions for it? I don't really kind of dwell into the issue at hand. I look at it, address it, and try to find a solution to it. And I say that's a big part of my grandmother.
Okay, so shout out to grandma, because if what we're hearing is correct, so grandma must be grandma cool, because we see you as Mr. Cool, right? Mr. Unshakable, regardless of the circumstances you're in, because on the outside, we see a guy who has life put together, who has not gone through any headaches, heartaches, who's always on the upside of the mountain. But that has not always been the case. Even, just trying to figure out what you're doing once you got into real estate. Is that correct?
Correct, correct.
Now, I
Yeah,
know that you're probably going to go into. I hear that you're not a stranger to the dollar menus and having to make tough decisions if you're going back into corporate America, right?
yep, yep, yep. Correct. You know, I'm no stranger to adversity and struggle. I think we all at some point go through it, you know, whether you're a college student, you know, whether you're in your 50s, you know, you're a single parent, whatever it is, you know, I think we all go through it. I went through it, you know, I would say it's been a bit of a transformation for me. And, you know, you kind of learn through it. And I think you, at that moment where you're kind of deciding, you know, really you're all for yourself, you're defending for yourself, you have to put food on your table, clothes on your back, and the money is not coming in the way you expect it to come in. So, you know, once I made that transition to real estate, you know, it wasn't easy for me. It really wasn't easy for the first 3 years. I spent a lot of time at McDonald's and Wendy's, you know, and but having to put, you appreciate a lot more. You appreciate the dollar a lot more. Um, Whereas before, I used to just spend frivolously. You know, when I had money coming in, I didn't have any kids. I wasn't married. You know, still young, partying, and you just blow away money thinking like, oh, it's coming tomorrow. You know, it's going to come back tomorrow. But when you're owning your own business and running your own business, you have to. You got to think about tomorrow, and the money may not come again. You know, you're not getting a consistent check every 2 weeks. So yeah, it makes you stronger. It does. It makes you more appreciative of life and the things, the small things in life. And you know, you start realizing what was important to you in your 20s and early 30s is not as important to you anymore, you know.
Now, you said that the first 3 years trying to get through, you had to endure. So what kept you going? Because I'm sure if you're like myself, I can't speak for everyone else. I'm sure there were times when you were like, dude, it's time to just pack it in. Let me go back and find another desk job so I can just ride the clock and get that salary. So what kept you coming back day in, day out, getting on the
That's
phone?
a
What was it?
that's a, that's a great question. I think for me it goes back to faith. You know, my mother was a very spiritual woman, and she bred us to be that way. Um, you know, I had friends saying, "Oh, you should just go get a job again." You know, why are you doing this? You need something more consistent and things of that nature. But you know, they don't really understand what's going on in your mind and what's going on in your head. And for me, I believe everything happens for a reason. I've been through a lot before, and I've had better days after that. So I know, you know, for me, the 3 years was just a time where it was like I feel like I was being tested to see if I really wanted it, you know, and I felt like I had to endure what I needed to endure, and it made me stronger, it made me appreciate it. But it all goes back to faith. My faith in I felt like there's a plan for me, and I'm meant to do bigger things, and I think this is what God wants me to do.
Mm. Well, that's a perfect segue because me knowing you and seeing you just everywhere, right? So no matter where I see you, who you're with, you're always the same. And I see a man of faith. Now, let me ask you just about the faith part of it. What is now, and this is separate from religion and everything else. So if you could tell someone, because as I'm talking to you right now, I'm listening to you and you're talking to me. So when you're saying you've
Yeah.
gone through things that were harder and you came out on the other side. So what would be something that maybe you would tell someone who's watching this, who might be at that 3 year part that you were talking about, who might be really tough, just find tough going right now? What would be something that you would share with them from someone who's going through consistently but seeming to always make it out? What either advice or comfort or just words would you give someone to help them through?
Yeah, I would say, you know, your struggles are preparation for the good that's coming into your life. So if you find yourself, you know, dealing with things and you know, constantly going through stuff, you know, you may need to take a step back and kind of put it in perspective and just, you know, ask yourself, what are the choices you're making? You know, I learned a long time ago, you know, I used to put the blame out and exhort it outwards to other people. You know, I had a great friend that told me, look, Devon, it's probably the choices you're making. I'm sure if you look back
Mm,
at the decisions you're making, you can kind of see it's not other people, it's you. And I would say, you know, just advice to anyone, just, you know, take accountability for your actions, but know that there's better days ahead. There's always better days ahead, you know, and know that it's what your struggles that you're going through now is just a preparation for all the good that's coming into your life. You just need to embrace it. You need to show faith. You need to believe and full, you know, move forward fast and swift and don't be hasty in that. You know, just keep going forward. Always keep going forward.
got you. So part of your going forward and moving in faith happened, I believe, you know, like I said, I'm a fan of yours. So whenever I see you in magazines and I see articles or see you online, I'm always trying to digest the information. But something that, well, not the thing that jumped out to me first was a decision that you had to make in 2011. Well, actually in 2011, you had a feeling, and it was, what am I doing
Yep.
here? Am I being challenged? And is this what I want to continue to do? What was it that brought you to that point? Because you had a good job and you were working in that job. So what was it that made you start questioning everything around you when you started to look?
I can't honestly say if something specifically happened, but I do know the feeling I had, and I felt like I was at a point where I was good at what I was doing, which was marketing and merchandising for a good company, a $3 billion company at the time.
Mm,
And, I had friends, and it just felt very comfortable. I was making good my age at the time, being single. I was making like 75,000 a year, and especially in here in my South Florida, that's a lot of money. But I just felt comfortable, and I felt like I wasn't being challenged. And at the end of the day, my core, I need to be challenged in order for me to thrive. And I wasn't feeling challenged. So I was just like, yo, I asked myself, God, is this what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life? And kind of looking for a sign. And I know I didn't want to. And I'm like, I don't want to do this when I'm 60 years old. And it's just, I don't know why 60 kind of stood out to me, but I always think of that, that, that retired gentleman who's in Publix, wrapping your groceries or bagging your groceries. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And it just started, I think, at around 30, 32. I just kind of started like, weren't kind of considering more about my future and where I'm going to be in my future. And that's really what it came down to. So it wasn't something that specifically happened, but that thought process was the chain. I think it was the start of where I'm at right now, and is what brought me to where I'm at right now.
all right, cool. Now you mentioned before this, and I know you are a believer in being challenged and moving forward. But you made a comment that one of your really good friends asked or said to you, Devana, look at what you're doing, be accountable. So even I see in your friendships, you like to be challenged in your friendships so that someone can bring out the best in you. But
Yeah.
that is not always a good thing, correct? Because I'm sure that has cost you friends. Maybe not cost you friends, but you've had to decide to leave some friends along the way as you've sought to improve. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, as we mentioned before we got on the call, I had some friends, and I believe, I'm a strong believer that everyone you meet is not meant to be in your life forever. You kind of
Mm,
learn, you have lessons along the way. But yeah, I had good friends, and some were really, years, 9, 12 years knowing them, and I'm no longer friends with them now. It hurt at the time, and you never really kind of see yourself not being friends with them. But life is just funny like that. And not to say they're bad people, but I just kind of started, with my transformation and kind of going through things. It just really I started to open my eyes and see people for who they really were. And then sometimes you're going to see where you're being more of a friend to other people than they're being a friend to you, and you start recognizing the qualities that true friendship should have. And the friends that I wanted to have around me, that I felt like that were going to help me grow as a person and help me grow in my career, and vice versa. I helped them as well. I just realized that there were certain people that I didn't need to be around anymore. So I started to distance myself from them, and naturally, it just, that was the best thing for me. You kind of, I found out after the fact that there were certain things that I didn't know that they either did, indirectly to me or directly to me, that I had no idea. So it was always it was the best decision I made, and I just kept moving along my path. You know, um, and that's what I kind of, I tell people now is just, you know, it's okay to grow and be successful, and bring your friends along and everything. But if they're not reciprocating, they're not your true friends. If they're not really cheering for you in the background, and wanting to see you grow, they're not really your friends.
awesome stuff, man. Now you talked about growing and being successful. Now in the real estate industry, I know that a big part, besides your good look, your charm, and your vocabulary, is your attention to customer service and the client experience. Because I mean, in this industry, there are so many people who are so many realtors or agents who are all about them. With you, it's the exact opposite. So regardless if they're buying, selling, it might be a rental. I know that you believe and you ascribe to a higher level of client experience and customer service than almost anyone that I've ever dealt with. Why is that so important to you, man?
I think that goes back to my mother. She always taught us that golden rule: treat people the way you want to be treated. And I've always followed that. And I think naturally I'm just a giving person who likes to help others. I think that's my calling in life. And whether it's doing real estate and helping someone, purchase their first home, or helping the seller, sell that home at the highest price, whatever it is, I've always looked at it more as a like building a relationship and helping someone. I looked at it more deeper than just getting a commission check at the end of the day. And, I've always learned, even when my previous career, I've always learned that relationships are important. Building a relationship, those are lasting. And I swear to you, Neil, I have friends and clients now that I used to work with in my previous career. And it was because of those strong relationships and my ethic and how I approached the day to day with them is why they continue to follow me with real estate and be my client in real estate. So it's always customer service first. I've always had that. I guess I've always looked at it from that point of view in anything I do. Just helping others and wanting to help people.
Now, you talk about you wanted to help others and you care about people, but that, so people say that, right? So it's easy for me to say, Devana, I want to help, I want to do this, and it look when the lights are on, but you're also very much involved in giving back, philanthropy, volunteerism, everything outside. I know that you do, excuse me, a lot with feeding the homeless, and so it's not just for the show and when the lights are on, but more so, I once again, this is why I wanted to interview you, because I know who you are, not just what we see, but also what we don't see. So how did you get involved, and did your mom and grandmother have any influence with you, just wanting to give back and, go back into the neighborhoods and giving to the kids or giving to the homeless or the hungry or whatever?
Yeah, my mom, she was very giving. She was probably the one who were influenced on that, and she always taught us that no matter what we're going through, there's a lot more people in the world that are going through worse. So no matter what I already went through, I always kind of had that in my mind, and just knowing that I'm thankful and I'm grateful. Um, for me, it started from there, and I feel like I'm still not doing enough, and I strive to do more, and that's my ultimate goal. But yeah, I have some good friends in the industry that kind of, anytime they need help with feeding the homeless, or just giving back to very low income people, kids who may not have a birthday, who may not be able to go and travel for their birthday and everything. So, we get together and we participate, we volunteer if we can. And for me, I'm more fulfilled when I'm helping someone in that way, and or helping someone in general. So, I always step up to the plate when it's time to do something in
Man,
that sense.
hats off to you with that. So we're going to start the wind down part here. So
Okay.
it does not, but these are probably just as heavy. Like I told you guys, this was going to be a big, deep interview because this is my guy, Devana. He or DJ to me, but this is who he is, and I wanted you guys to be exposed to his greatness in life, not just in real estate. So I believe I know the answer, but I could be wrong. So here we go. Who is the
Mhm.
biggest influence in your life?
Biggest influence in my life individually, I would say is my boy George. He's been there for years with me, and he's like family to me. Um, he kind of taught me, at a time at a young age where, I wanted more. He kind of saw that in me, and he kind of showed me the way. And, he's like 4 years older than me. So he was the bigger brother that I didn't have, in a sense, and me being the oldest at the time, I needed that. My father wasn't always around and everything like that. So I would say he's been, aside from my parents, he's probably been the biggest influence for me.
So, George, if you're watching this, I want to say thank you, man, because if you helped make this guy who he is, you've done us all a huge favor. All right, next question. What would you tell yourself if you were 10 years younger? So, what would you tell your 10-year younger self if you could look face to face with yourself right now? What advice, what would you say?
Ultimately, just go for it. No matter what, regardless of fear or anything, just go for it. Do whatever comes to mind. Just do it. Do it.
And
And
so that's good advice for everyone watching this right now. Go for it.
yeah.
All right, so real quick, so I'm going to pause on the other question that I have here. So, and I want to ask you, what was one time that you went for it when you felt fear or apprehension or doubt, and you went for it anyway? And what was the result, good or bad?
Um, I believe it goes back. I went to it was an acting class, and just that fear of, I'm the type of person that I would do it if you dare me to do it, or I work up the nerve, I will do it. I may walk into it with fear, but I'll do it. And I think being younger, I wanted to be an actor, to be honest. I always wanted to be an actor, but I went out for this acting class, and I forget what the play, the screen, the script was, but they didn't choose me, but I went for it. I went back and forth with it for days, and I was gonna not do it, and I said no, I didn't want to be I didn't want to be a little, what about it. So I kind of forced myself. I didn't even tell my friends about it. I didn't tell my family. I just went and did it. They didn't choose me. They didn't pick me, but I did it. But you know what? You learn when you do things like that. You feel so much better because it's like, okay, I did it. I didn't look at it more as get rejected or whatever. I did it, and then I did something that I didn't think I could do at the time.
All right, so go for it. All right, what do you want said about you when you're no longer on this earth?
It's funny. I was thinking about that question a couple of months ago. For me, I think ultimately I would want, someone to say that he was he was a great person. He was someone who was giving, unselfish, someone who was very passionate about life, and just passionate in the things he does, and passionate towards others. A very loving person, and someone who uh, you know who approached life in a calm, nice way, and always dealt with, adversity, and always triumphed over adversity.
Well, sir, I want to tell you, if you continue on the path that you're going right now, that will be said about you and much, much more. All right, if you could interview one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
If I could interview anyone, I would interview Puff Daddy. To be honest, he's always been, or P Diddy to some people. He's always been someone that I admired. Obviously being a black entrepreneur, and but he always seemed like nothing stopped him. Like he always, no matter what other people thought of him or whatever, he's always did it. Now he didn't reinvent the wheel. He took what he saw his mentors or his admirers that he admired, and he did the same, similar to what they did, and he just took it to another level. And I think, but I always wanted to interview him, just pick his brain, and kind of be around that energy. He seems like a big ball of energy and fire. You know what I mean? So he's always someone that I would always want to kind of sit down and kind of pick their brain. So if I could interview anyone, it would be him.
Yeah, because actually, shout out to Diddy, Sean Combs. Condolences to you at your time of loss. Right now, we know, so our prayers go out to you for that. But he's also on my top three of people because he did everything. He does everything. I mean, it's like Jim Rohn, him, and then one other person. But he always did things with flair and his personality, even when it wasn't the popular way of doing things. So
Exactly.
let me ask you, what is the best advice next to do it, go after it? What is the best advice that you've ever received?
The best advice that I've ever received. Um, that's a great question. I received a lot of advice, when it came to relationships. But I think when it comes down to life, the best advice I probably received was, don't live yourself through your parents. You're not your parents. Um, you have to go on and live the life that you know how to live, and take it as, it's your life. Don't be in fear of, not being your parents or becoming your parents. Don't look at it in that way. Just live your life and you'll make it. Whatever at the end of the day, we're all striving to reach that place of happiness and fulfillment. So, don't let your parents stop you from living their life and enjoying the life that you need to live.
Got it.
That came from my cousin. That came from my cousin.
Cousin's name?
Her name is Annette Bogle. Annette Bogle.
Annette, shout out to you, love. Like I said, and the reason, because and the reason I'm asking, like when I say George and grandma and all that, and Annette, because I don't know if we do, just people in general, do a good enough job of telling people that we appreciate them and how great they are and that they've made an impact on our lives. So in any avenue we can, because who knows if they'll see this, maybe they'll say, well, I didn't even know that you remembered this. I didn't know that you picked up from it. But now Annette, I know she has one more fan now. So she has one more fan to add to her fan club. All right, last question before we hit these quick rapid fire. What one talent don't you have that you wish you did?
Well, I've been good at a lot of things, man.
That
I've been good at a lot of things. But if I had to say
that
one
humble
talent,
brag, right? You're like, I'm good at everything.
I wish I could sing, man. I wish I could sing and sing my ass off.
You look like someone that could sing. You look like you might just be able to do R&B.
Singer, man. I look like a part of a group. But no, I can't sing, man. I think, my ex-girlfriend a long time ago, she said, Devana, I think if you really practice, you probably could sing. I said, no, I don't think so.
Did you practice?
No. But she was a great singer. She's still a singer today. We kind of stay in contact. Her name is Jana Morrison.
So you go ahead and give us a little bit, because I know if you want to, you just got to do it. Jump. No?
I'm not going to spoil the show like that. No.
Okay. All right. Quick, couple of questions for you, real quick, rapid fire. Favorite cereal?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Favorite color?
Red.
If you could be any superhero, who would it be?
Superman.
Favorite food?
Curry goat.
What?
Curry goat, Jamaican style curry goat.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You could tell that I'm straight Alabamian, right? I'm like curry. Oh, okay. even after being down here for 14 years, it took me a moment. Okay. Mickey Mouse or Bugs Bunny?
Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny, my man. Mr. Devana Johnson, thank you so much for being on the 2-6, man. As always, it's an absolute pleasure. Anytime I get to see you, man, I love it. I love you as a friend and a brother, man. You are a role model of mine, someone that I aspire to be like. So keep it up, dude. Everything you do makes a difference. So, man, I appreciate you taking time for myself and the viewers.
I appreciate you too, man. I appreciate you too. I see you all the time, and I respect what you're doing, man. I love it, and I aspire to be like you. Trust me.
Oh, man, it's good company, man. All right, dude, I appreciate you. I'll holler at you later, man.
All right, man. Have a nice day.
Thank
you.